This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
Well, time to talk about a new film that is making its debut at the Cactus Classic at Ability 360 this weekend. Filmmaker Marci Krown from Krown Family Films joins us here on Arizona's Family and the Extra Point podcast. And Marci, how are you doing today as you get set to debut The Power of Sports for Amputees here in Phoenix, Arizona?
Yes, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here and to be able to share this film with your Phoenix community.
Well, we're excited to hear about it. Ability 360 is a place that's close to our heart. We've had a number of just incredible stories happen, and it's such a great thing to have that in our community. So tell us the stories that you'll be telling here in the film that is debuting May the 16th. So that's actually tomorrow. What sort of was the vision as you set out to tell the story in film form?
Sure. Well, we have three specific stories of three athletes who are trying to compete or participate in sports. And if they had the right tools, their success would be unlimited. And these three have lost their leg due to amputation. And we learn about the struggles and the successes of their life in order to achieve their dreams.
No, it's fantastic. And those stories, they get me every time because I sit here and I say, what am I complaining about? What am I worried about? You're sitting there. They're just the stories, especially putting them in film form, and we can all just kind of follow along. It's important to inspire people. What inspired you about making this film, and how did the process come together to get it made?
Yes, actually, it started over 30 years ago with my first introduction to people with disabilities at the 1996 Atlanta Paralympic Games. I lived in Atlanta and I worked those games. I had never worked with people with disabilities before. And I'm telling you, Mark, my life changed. My perceptions of what people can do really shone over what they could not do. And then when I moved out to San Diego, I had been doing event planning, sports event planning. I did a little bit. And then I thought, you know what? My son was born. I need to do something flexible. So I got into acting and filmmaking. And I remembered back then about the Paralympics. And you know what? There's still a stigma. There's still a misperception of what people think of those with disabilities. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to share it. And I'm going to bring this film to some cities and get the community together and talk about it.
So tell us, and just to have the vision, but I mean, to execute the vision, it's a whole nother thing. It's like, we kind of tell stories every day here on the news, but it's not the long form film version with the editing and the more editing and the more editing and the shoots. I know it can be exhausting and a labor of love but to tell the story you wanted to tell. Tell us how you told the story. Where does the story take us?
Well, it takes us to the three different athletes' home, where Carson lives in Orange County of California. He's a teenage boy in high school that unfortunately lost his leg due to cancer. And so he played football. He wanted to get back to playing football. And because of that, the track coach saw him and said, you know what, why don't you come out and try out for our track team? So he did that with his prosthetic. Then we've got Beatrice Hutz. She's a Paralympian, had never medaled before, but she was training at the Chula Vista Elite Training Center down in Chula Vista. And she was training to become a track and field star on the USA track and field team that was hoping to go to the Paralympics in France. And then we've got James. I consider him sort of he's a middle-aged man, everyday man. He didn't necessarily want to compete in sports, but he wanted to use the loss of his leg to help mentor other people who were going through it and to also talk to other people in their lives about going after their goals, going after their dreams. And just because, well, for him, because the loss of the leg doesn't mean your life has to end. And if you look at it with businesses today or other people who are trying to go after things, you work around it, you problem solve, and you find a way to make it work. So that was his goal.
Is there a common bond in any of the stories? What made it that these three athletes helped tell your story?
You know what? Persistence. Persistence to overcome the obstacles that actually we put in front of them. You know, a lot of people, especially in the non-disabled community, we don't realize the obstacles that we're putting in the way. They are just, everyday people that are trying to achieve their dreams just like we are. They're just doing it a different way. And the obstacles that are placed in front of them could be anything from getting the right prosthetic in order to compete in the race to, you know, taking somebody's parking spot, taking somebody's parking spot when they need to have a closer spot to get to where they're going. It's awareness piece as well.
Interesting. So if for anybody who's out there saying, "Man, am I the obstacle here?" What would be your advice to them?
If anybody, can you repeat the question?
If somebody out there is listening, watching to this, and saying, "Man, am I the obstacle here?" So what would be your advice to them?
You know what? I think the best thing would be is to go to an event, go to watch them participate in a sport, see what their abilities are, and realize they're just everyday people. And really, you got to show up. You got to show up. You got to be present. You need to accept people for who they are and what they're doing. They don't need the pity. They don't want our pity. That's another part of the obstacle. By jumping in and trying to fix their situation, don't fix their situation. Just you go in, you treat them just like any other person. Listen to them, be present, and only if they need help at that point, then you can help them.
Well, it's a heck of a story to tell. Oh, I am curious because Ability 360 is such a valuable part of our community, and I think just more and more people that kind of invest time over there. It really, I mean, it's life changing. So why was?
Oh, it's incredible! It's incredible the Ability 360, the programs that they offer for the adaptive community and their families. And I know Nick Pryor, the program manager over there, is going to be running this basketball clinic. And I think even if somebody is afraid to come out because maybe they don't think they can do it, they're going to be going out there anyway. And I think if you're thinking about it, if there's an amputee out there that's thinking about playing basketball, come on out and watch. It's really, it's a very supportive environment. And I'm just so tickled to be involved. And I know Hanger Clinic, they're going to be helping to sponsor this particular event. And there's about 30 different offices throughout Phoenix. And they provide the prosthetic. So after your leg is amputated, you get a custom fit section to help start your process.
So what's an ideal day look like for you for the debut of the film, The Basketball Clinic, and maybe somebody who's just hearing about this for the first time? How would they get involved, show up for the clinic, and watch the film?
Yes, I would recommend them calling the Ability 360, getting the information as to the times and everything. Just that's what's going to move the needle. A lot of us don't have the opportunity to be around people with disabilities, so we're not quite sure how to even act around them. And we may be afraid that we're going to ask the wrong questions, but really just, be yourself. And sport is the easiest way to approach people with disabilities. It levels the playing field. They can play like everybody else. And I think it's an easy way to get to know somebody and to get to see what they can do. So just come out to the film first, and then the next day come on out and watch the players play in the basketball classic.
Is this like how many films do you have in the hopper when it comes to telling stories about people with disabilities playing sports? Will there be another one after this? And has there been kind of a lead up to making this particular film?
I'd like to. I first have to finish with this particular film. I usually take one project on at a time because it's so big to focus all my energy in. So I like to just handle one project at a time. But in the future, yes, I would like to continue working in the sports realm with adaptive athletics.
What about for young filmmakers out there? What's the key to taking an idea and getting it all the way into the end zone, so to speak, on the silver screen?
Well, you know what? It all starts with an idea, and you have to say yes. When I first started, this is my fourth film, but my very first feature. And it could be really anything. And if you have passion about something, I say to the filmmakers, have a passion for something because you are the best marketer for that film and it's going to keep you going. Don't take on something that just because maybe you think somebody else might like it. You do something that you like to do because your passion is going to come through in the film and it's going to keep you going when you're doing your research and when you're doing the filming and the editing. You're going to be with a project for quite a while. So choose something that you're passionate about and say yes.
Did you learn anything about yourself in this process?
I learned quite a bit more than what I thought some 30 years ago. I learned, first of all, that more people are afraid to come out um, regarding those with disabilities because of the stigma of being laughed at or looked at. But I also learned with my own challenges, I had my own challenge. It took me about 2.5 years to complete this from start to finish, from the research to the filming to the editing and so forth. And I had my own challenges. And I'm thinking, I have a story to tell. And it's really important for me to get this out. I owe it to the people that I talk to, not only the three main people, but I talk to other community members who are in the film. And I owe it to them. So whatever energy that I had during my challenge, that was all I focused on. It's like my husband can attest, like, okay, you make your own dinner. I can't focus on that right now. All I have the energy for is getting this film complete. So yeah, persistence and consistency. And that's where the passion comes in. If you're passionate about it, you're going to continue no matter what.
Yeah, a narrow focus it helps with a lot of things. How many sporting events did you attend to shoot this film? Give us a little tease of what we can expect. What are some of the scenes in there that are going to be memorable?
Sure. Let's see. With Carson, I attended a couple of his, being in high school, I attended a couple of his championship games. With Beatrice, the same thing. There was actually one main championship. But I think the name of it, I apology. It was at the Chula Vista.
It was the champion, the Chula
Center.
Vista Championship. Yeah, I do that all the time. I'm like, we're gonna name this. Make it real basic here. Make it real easy. The Chula Vista Championship.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't remember. And then also in Huntington Beach, that's where I had filmed Kyle Stepp, and he was in a triathlon, and we filmed him swimming, and we filmed him getting on his bike, and yeah, that was pretty exciting. And he's one of the people who's involved with So Everybody Can Move, and that's a grassroots organization that telling Congress for insurance companies to pay for these prosthetics because sport is not a luxury, sport is a need.
Yeah, that's for sure. We would agree with that here on the Extra Point. Was there any just wow moment where you just realized how incredible of athletes that you're watching on the film?
Oh my goodness. It's interesting. With Carson being a football player, his body was built a certain way. And then when he went out for track, his body slimmed down. And that also meant that his leg, where the prosthetic was on, slimmed down too. So he's running a race, and his the cast is slowly sliding back and forth because the muscles change within his, the cast. So that's one thing that they have to concern themselves with is the fit, according to like if they're going to be sweating, or if, their muscles change depend on, how long they're working out, how many days they're working out. It changes, or maybe, it swells. If you gain weight, your section swells and then it's too tight. So really, they have to keep a somewhat steady weight, which, I mean, I gain and lose weight all the time, and I can't imagine, having to worry about my leg fitting because I've gained a couple of pounds, or I've lost a couple of pounds. That was an interesting aspect.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay, so how can people see the film? Just one more time. When will it be shown? And then after it debuts here in Phoenix, where else can people see it?
Yes, at the Ability 360. That's at the Conference Center, the 5025 East Washington Street, from 5:30 to 8. And we're going to have some networking with some munchies. And the film is about an hour and a half. And then we're going to have a Q&A after. And we're going to meet several people in the community. Michael White from Hanger, Jen, Jen from Midwest University, and Dr. Joanna Israel. She's going to be speaking about orthotics and prosthetics.
Oh, very cool. Well, thank you for sharing with us, and yeah, keep us posted on the next thing you're doing. Do you take a deep breath now, or is it on to the next film?
No deep breaths.
You can't hit a moving target. Give us a tease.
No.
What's next?
No deep breaths. I think what I'd like to do is, this film would be great for those students in colleges studying for this particular major, where they're going into exercise science, physical therapy. And I like to gear the film. It's a little bit too long for the classroom. And so I'd like to gear it for the classroom to help in their studies, and for them to get to see some real live action and people before they graduate, so they can learn a little bit more. So.
And would you recommend some aspiring filmmakers come out too and say hello?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'd be glad to talk to them afterwards, and of course.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time. Safe travels out here, and yeah, keep us posted on what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Mark. Would love to.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of 3TV, CBS5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.